All you older kids, how you doing? Hope you're all surviving this first week at home and getting stuck into your homeschooling and a bit of exercise outdoors, and I hope you're not killing your parents yet. Main things, I hope you're all staying safe and you're well. What I thought I'd do is I thought I'd do a few videos for you, as we can't meet up on the tennis courts at the moment, to just maybe give you some ideas to practice at home in relation to the technique that we talk about. Obviously, because I'm not on court with you, I could maybe just go into a little bit more detail for you about the type of technique you should be using, and obviously maybe just put in a little bit of fitness. Again, just something different for you to do when you're at home and you know, at the moment got some nice days. Okay, so the first video is just to do with your ground strokes, and because you're all young and fit and healthy, one of the things that we should be starting to develop, okay, is the amount of top spin that you hit off your forehand or your backhand ground stroke. Okay, now quick recap: the grip that you hold, how you generate more top spin. So if you have got a central position, obviously, you know, as you all know, I'm right-handed. To generate more top spin, that hand needs to move further over to the right side of the grip, obviously if you're right-handed, and to the left side of the grip if you're left-handed. Now, how far depends on how much topspin you obviously want to create. So, for example, if you want to copy my forehand ground stroke, I use what we call a semi-western forehand grip. Okay, so that's it from that angle. That's it from that angle. Okay, and that just allows me to get that racket driving up the back of the ball before I follow through towards this opposite shoulder area. It helps me generate that spin. Okay, so that's the semi-western forehand grip. If, for example, you want to ask, well, what's Roger Federer's? He's slightly less than me. It's a little bit closer to the middle, very slightly. Okay, in what they call a modified Eastern forehand grip. And with that grip, that allows him to still brush up the back of the ball, but also, if you look at the path that I take between these two shots, it allows him to still hit quite a flat shot, or brush up the back and use his wrist to create the top spin shot. Okay. And another very popular one that all you guys know and girls know is the full Western forehand grip, which is popular with Rafa Nadal. Okay. And that just means that he can really extremely accelerate that racket up the back of the ball at quite a steep angle, and often it's because he's making contact with the ball more at this type of height. Now, at the moment, I wouldn't be encouraging you guys to really get your hand right round into the Rafa Nadal full Western area, because you need the wrists need to be pretty strong. And it's mainly to do with the height of the ball that we deal with. Now, obviously on the tennis courts at Knutsford, we mainly deal with the ball more in that kind of this height. Yeah, this height. We don't often want to be hitting the ball up in this area. And if you are, you know what obviously I always say to you, move your feet a little bit more, okay? So I don't really want you to be going right round to the Rafa Nadal area and having your fingers right wrapped around all the way underneath and doing this. But my grip, the semi-western grip, the Roger Federer area, the modified forehand grip, that's pretty good. Okay, so like I said, all that's doing is practicing that racket head brushing up the back of the ball. So, well, practices that you could do in your garden. Okay, you look at the grip, you move your hand slightly further on over, yeah, and then you're in that ready position. Now, as a lot of you already know, I'm developing you all to do this loop. Can you all tell me why we do the loop? To generate more racket head speed. Yeah? Now remember, that loop and that preparation is happening as the ball is crossing the net. You want that done whilst the ball is crossing the net, not when it's bounced on your side of the court. That's too late. It's got to be done whilst the ball's still in the air and that unit has turned. Then obviously the important part that I talked to you about, the footwork to get you in the best position for the ball. And remember, because you guys are all young and you've all got flexible joints, you don't necessarily have to step right down the court so much. You can afford to take that racket back and leave those feet slightly more open, as long as you turn the hips, because then as you accelerate the racket at the ball, you'll rotate that motion all the way back round, okay? And the more you practice the whip, the more topspin that creates. Okay, so that's the forehand ground stroke. From the middle, you move your hand over to the right side if you're right-handed, to the left, and then you just practice brushing the racket from a low to a high motion. The further you move the hand round, the steeper that can go and the more topspin you can get. But I suggest you stay in my area or the Roger Federer area, where you can still brush up and create topspin, but you can also raise the racket and still hit it quite flat, okay? And again, one thing that you could practice, if you need a bit of exercise, from the ready position, loop, couple of steps, swing, side steps. Loop, couple of steps, swing, side steps. Yeah? And do 54 hands a day. Yeah, 54 hands a day. So that's something for you to think about on your forehand. In relation to the follow through part, remember, and some of you still do a lot of this, as soon as you've struck the ball, you think that the actual stroke is finished. But that follow through part, through the ball, and over towards this opposite area, it doesn't need to be wrapped around your neck. This opposite area, just somewhere over here, okay, as long as the elbow's not tucked into your body, okay, is so important. Don't practice hitting the ball and then just kind of recovering. Hitting the ball and then recovering. That part is so important, so really have that follow through, and almost pause the follow through for a minute. So you're looping that racket up to generate your racket head speed. Accelerate through, stop, then recover. Preparation, feet, stop, then recover, okay? And it's just something you can practice. Get your parents out there and get them to do 54 hands with you, okay, for a little bit of exercise. So that's your forehand ground stroke. The other one I'm going to talk today about is your backhand ground stroke. Now, all of you guys, at the moment, I teach, have two hands on the racket. And I often get asked this, why don't I do a one-handed? Why don't I teach the one-handed ground stroke from an early age? Simply because a one-handed ground stroke requires a lot of strength. And until you're strong enough to be able to use the correct technique, then I wouldn't develop that one-handed ground stroke just yet. So it's the two-handed, the double-hander. So, grip. Again, your hands, guys and girls, should fit directly together. If we look at it from that position, I'm not overlapping. I don't have a big gap. The fingers just touch together there. That's the ready position. Look at the triangle between my arms, my shoulders and my hands, okay? You're trying to achieve that take back, that triangle stays at that position as you take that racket back. Now from here, you've got two options. You can pull it straight back, you can work your feet, and then you can drive that left hand straight through the ball before you come on over the shoulder, okay? That's the traditional backhand, okay? The other option is you can move your dominant hand, so for me, my right hand, a little bit further over to the opposite side. So if you're right-handed, a little bit further over to the left. If you're left-handed, a little bit further over to your right. You don't alter your other hand, your opposite, your non-dominant hand. If I move that further over, that immediately allows me to raise the racket a little bit. And look, and again, we talked a lot about this in our ground strokes at the moment, starting to develop that loop before you follow through. Again, I'll keep telling you over and over, the loop helps you create momentum of the racket and racket head speed, and racket head speed means you can hit the ball harder. But never forget, number one rule, everybody, whatever ball you're hitting, you've got to get it over the net and you have to get it in on the other side. There's no point in hitting that ball at 100 miles an hour and it's hitting the fence or hitting my car in the car park. No good, okay? So, you can move that hand slightly further over, you can raise that racket up, and you can pull that racket back on that little bit of a loop, working those feet. I do suggest you turn a little bit more on your backhand with regards to your feet and your hips, yeah? So then from here, you're dipping that racket under, you drive that left hand forward before it starts coming on over towards this opposite shoulder area. So again, a little practice that you can do in your garden for a bit of fitness. Ready position, preparation first, a few steps, swing that racket through, side steps back, prep, run, swing through, side steps back, prep, run, swing through, side steps back. Look at that position I'm trying to maintain through the side steps, okay? So just to give you an example, I'm just going to go and do 3 forehands and 3 backhands, okay? And you've got to tell me by getting your parents to send me a text or send an email, or you can just kind of guess which 3 am I doing with quality and which 3 am I doing with no quality. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 'Hey, pretty obvious, yeah? And sometimes, unfortunately, we do get that second one on the tennis court, which is not what we want, okay? So if you do real good quality, that can be an excellent workout whilst we're going through this unfortunate situation and we can't get on the court. If you do 20 of them, I bet you can get that heart rate pumping, okay? So let's do a quick recap. This is your ready position. Your hands need to look at moving this way if you want to generate a bit more topspin, this way if you want to generate a bit more topspin off the backhand, okay? The more central they stay, the flatter you'll hit the ball, the more further round, the more topspin you can generate. And obviously it requires this brushing up action off either side towards that follow throughs, okay? The follow through is absolutely crucial, so don't let that racket collapse as you follow through, okay? Work those feet. It's one of my main things that I know all you guys, you know, will tell me back that Mark says I've got to move my feet, okay? So really get that footwork practicing, okay? So a couple of little things for you to think about. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to do a couple of other videos on the volleys, on the serve and return, which as you all know is the most important shot, and the second most important shot, the return of serve. We're going to do some footwork drills and just some little different things that you can just add into your daily routines until we can get back on that tennis court. Hope you're well, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.